Now, is there any impact of crisis on the trade? Let's talk about this. So, crisis. So the crisis, specifically which crisis? The credit crisis. The credit crisis weakens the economies of many different countries when you are not able to pay back your debt. Simple. For example, imports greater than exports, we call this deficit, and you need to settle down with this, your banking account with World Bank. If you cannot, then it means you have lose your credibility to pay back your money, right? So World Bank will give you some credit, like banks will give you some credit, of course, on interest, just like that. But what if you loses that credibility, right? Then what happened? The consequences are that the amounts of spending, including spending for imported goods, decline. So when companies' credit weakens, it means its standard of living also weakens. Its income is also weakens because of bad economic conditions. So when it's bad economic condition occurs, then people will lose a job, right? Their standard of living decreases, so the demand for imported goods decreases, right? So in that case, what it has to do with MNCs? So remember, if you are working in that country on which it is hitting a credit crisis or its income decreases, and so remember that MNCs should cut back on their plans to boost export as they lowered their estimates for economic growth in the foreign markets. So you should remember that don't make too much goods ready to be exported to that country, because over there credit crisis is going to hit, and World Bank is going to warn you through its reports, through its news, right? The political news, the crisis news. There are a lot of Bloomberg channels, Money Channel, Wall Street Journal. So it's already in the news as well. So you can also read in newspaper, Business Recorders, Financial Times, Economic, Time Magazine, this kind of stuff. You can just see the news and you can find out that okay, in that country, it's a credit crisis is going to hit, and we are MNCs, and our major part of our product is basically exported to that country. So this is the moment right now. Try to explore other business opportunities in other countries rather than just relying on that company, or try to cut back your cost, and don't produce too much goods, so that if crisis occurs and nobody is willing to buy from you, then where you are going to sell your product, and you will lose hefty amount of money. So as they reduce their expansion plans, they also reduce their demand for imported supplies. Thus, international trade flows were reduced in response to credit crisis. If you still don't understand that, so let's try this through a whiteboard discussion. All right, here. So what happened? You're a company in China, and this is a country, US. So this is a company, not a country, okay? Company. And you are making products, and you are importing raw material from Finland. Raw material, sorry about that. Raw material, right? You are sending the goods to the US. What happened? US economy weakens. So what will happen as a wise manager? You will produce less. When you produce less, you will require less raw material as well. When you require less raw material, so what happened to Finland? Finland exports going to be decreased, right? So do you see a chain reaction here? Guys, so it means US crisis is going to be shifted on China through Finland. So this is what happened when in 2008 many other countries they are worried, and then what happened? Chain reaction started from US. The crisis transferred to the European countries, first hit by Greece and then Cyprus. And what happened? All the European Union supported the Greece and Cyprus, right? If otherwise, if it is spreaded, even in China, it is hit by enormous amount. But since all the adoption is absorbed by the Chinese government, and you can see that there are a lot of ghost cities over there. Nobody wants to live over there. There is no business opportunities over there. But governments pay back loans, buy all those buildings, so that it didn't spread further, right? Everybody understand that? So trade is now more connected, and in international scenario, you don't think yourself that you are isolated. You are interconnected with many other stuff, because raw material is coming from somewhere else. Accounting, transactions or accounting department is somewhere else. Payment is going in some in other currencies. So you are connected. So if one country experiences the credit crisis, international flow of funds reduces. And it doesn't mean that international flow of funds from that country, no, all over the world started reducing. So a related reason for decline in international trade is that some MNC could not obtain financing, even though you want to produce. And for example, let's continue with this one. Even though you want to produce the same 1,000 units of the product, you want to import raw material, but you need a loan from the bank. Banks will not approve. Will not approve your loan. Why? Because banks, their managers are also, they want to they want to analyze your creditability, whether you will be paying back your loan or not. They assess your financial position, and they will suggest you cannot pay back us the money. Why? Because your major part is going to the US. The US economy is going down. Who is going to buy from you? We give you the loan, you buy the raw material from Finland, and then you process the product. And who is going to buy your product? Your domestic capacity is 200. The rest of the 800, who is going to buy that? So look at, you go to the YouTube and you can see that over there, the Disney structure, fairyland in Turkey. I don't know its proper name right now. I forget about that. But over there are villas constructed in Disney style. But what happened? The crisis hit, and more than 400 mansions or beautiful houses still abandoned, because banks are not giving them loans to complete that project. People are not paying their installments. Why? Because they are hit by the crisis. And then Turkey real estate right now is also in crisis with respect to that villas, right? Because banks are not giving them loans. Banks are not ready to finance or give loans to the Turkey people to buy a house in that project, because it is millions of dollars loan. Not for one house, it's more than 400 to I think 1,000 houses. So look at the enormous amount is stuck over there, right? So this is how the credit crisis is going to affect other countries as well. Also the financing needs as well. So international trade is commonly facilitated by letter of credit, which are issued by the commercial banks on behalf of importers, promising to make payments upon delivery because many banks experience financial problems during the credit crisis. Exporters are less willingly to accept letters of credit. Right, guys? If banks are not giving you the loan, then what happened? You won't be having international trade because you don't know the person. You are booking the order on online. So other person is also giving you the the goods. So similarly, like we buy on Taobao or online through eBay, Amazon. So we don't know the buyer. So sellers and seller don't know the customer, but they trust the Amazon. Why? Because you submit your money to the Amazon and Amazon pay to the sellers upon the receipt of the goods. Similarly, international trade follows like that. So you present letter of credit to the seller's bank, and seller's bank will release the money to the seller when you receive the product. But if banks are not facilitating you with this kind of credit, then what happen? International trade won't occur. Guys, understand that? So this is a really heavy paragraph, but it contains a lot of information. That's why it took me more time to explain all this. Kathleen, you understand?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Fabian?
Yes.
Dorian?
Yes, I understand. But also, I want to say sometimes, like, not in case of this, but you can have some agreement with your supplier. You can pay in I will say, you can settle a payment like different payment method. For example, you don't pay all of the whole amount in once, and also you can pay a part before to sell it, and after sale you can send another dividend. It's different.
That normally happens inside the country, not in international scenario. The seller must be paid in full, and if you are even paying in installments, so what normally banks do, bank pay all the money to the seller is good to go, and then they receive money from you. So essentially you are paying, you will be told that okay, you are paying money to the sellers on installment basis, but on the back end it is a bank who is receiving installment from you.
Oh,
Same.
okay. I understand.
Because there is a lot of trust issue between international buyer and international seller.
Sir, I have questions.
Yeah, sure, Jordan.
I want to know about LC and TT. Which one is much better?
I think we have a different subject for that one. So normally TT is for currency denominated, and for example, if the deal is for like billions of dollar, if the seller says that okay, I'm not going to accept yuan, I will be accepting $1 billion. That's it. And now you need to make sure that when this transaction happens, you must have $1 billion in your account, right? But if you want to buy, we will learn that how the mechanics of exchange rate works. But look at that. If you want to buy dollars and you have yuan, you will sell your yuan, you will buy dollars, right?
Yes.
It creates demand for dollars. So demand of dollars start rising. It means price of dollars start rising as well. When it comes to $1 billion,